This is the one episode of this series where I am actually qualified to talk about these things professionally. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Runna, your favorite local running community. I'm Juliana, and we are back for our third episode of the BENDY Series, where we are talking about some tips and tricks and things to make note of when you are a runner with EDS or hypermobility. But before we get into the episode, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Ooh, subscribe. Go down there and subscribe, my friends, so that way you can join us every week, meaning me, and some guests, hopefully, twice a week, every week here on Runna. And hopefully, if you are someone who is hypermobile, who has EDS, you can check out the rest of the series. That is part, again, of our BENDY series, where we're talking about tips and tricks for people who have EDS, who are also, or hypermobility, who are also runners. So today, my friends, we are going to be talking about the letter N, which in our BENDY series stands for nutrition. So this is the one episode of the series where I actually have a professional degree in this. I am a registered dietitian with a master's degree and 11 years of experience in the field. So I actually am professionally qualified to speak about these things. But that being said, this is just general advice, and please go seek out your personal medical professionals. And if you would like to connect with me further, if you're like, I would like to work with Juliana on my nutrition, please just send me an email and we can set up some one-on-one sessions where we can really break down some of the nitty-gritty and the personal recommendations that we might have for your personal nutrition strategies. Today, we are going to just talk about some, I feel like lesser talked about things, but research proven things that are, I feel like, necessary to someone who has EDS and or hypermobility to implement in your nutrition strategy if you are trying to successfully run, and things that I have found are kind of key and paramount to me being able to continue my running when it comes to a nutrition side of things. And again, these are just general recommendations. And if you have further questions, please shoot me an email and or talk to your personal medical professionals. I don't really want to dive too far into like calorie recommendations, carbohydrate recommendations, protein recommendations, just because these are things that we already generally know are beneficial for people, even if you don't have EDS and or hypermobility. You should be meeting your fueling needs. Don't be underfueling yourself. Don't be starving yourself. Make sure you're getting enough calories in. When you are running, make sure you're intaking carbohydrates. Somewhere between 45 to 90 grams an hour is the standard. It really depends on who you are, how your body metabolizes things, and also what your goals are and what the race is that you're running. Also, protein. We know that protein is really important for our muscle recovery, and especially as people who have ligament and tendon challenges, making sure that you are eating enough protein. Usually it's between 0.8, I would say for an athlete, 0.8 to 1.4 grams per kilogram of protein. But again, you have to be, I would get assessed by your local friendly dietitian and or send me an email, and I'm happy to kind of break down your macros, your fat, protein, carbohydrate requirements based off of your body weight, your goals, your activity level, all of these things. But I feel like any old schmo can tell you that you should be eating enough carbs, you should be eating enough protein, you should be definitely making sure that you are just fueling properly. So first off, we'll just say fuel properly. If you have questions about the specific gram amount or whatever it is, just shoot me an email and I'm happy to answer your questions for you. But I want to talk about things that are a little bit more niche and things that you wouldn't automatically think of when you're thinking I have to be on top of my nutrition as a runner with EDS. The first things I want to talk about are non-negotiable supplements. The first one I really want to talk about, because this is something that's actually been scientifically proven to be highly beneficial, not only to anyone who lives in the Northern Hemisphere for half the year or in a place where the sun don't shine for 6 months out of the year, essentially, but it's been scientifically proven to really help out with people with EDS, mostly like, I believe, like increasing bone strength and also just like generally helping your body function better. And that is vitamin D. So I have my vitamin D supplement right here. And this is something that as a dietitian, I generally recommend that most people like take a vitamin D supplement if you live in a part of the world where like you don't see the sun for like good chunks of time. Especially up here in New England, most of the winter we see the sun like once a week, and you really need vitamin D for your bone health and for other metabolic functions in your body. And the thing with vitamin D is it's really hard to get from foods alone, because generally speaking, the only foods that most people regularly consume that have dairy in them are dairy that have vitamin D in them. I knew where I was going with that. Are fortified dairy products. Vitamin D can also be found in sardines. If you are like a big sardine eater, that's great. It can also be found in small amounts in other like fortified foods, like fortified cereals, things like that. But in the biggest amounts, and it's usually only like 20 to 30% of your daily value, which really isn't that much. And if you only have like one serving of dairy a day, or you eat like, say like almonds, like plant-based substitutes for your dairy, there might not even be vitamin D supplementation in that product because it's not federally regulated. It's only federally regulated in the United States to have vitamin D supplementation and calcium supplementation, if there's not enough calcium in there already, in dairy products, which does not include plant-based dairy products. So if you're someone like me who's vegetarian and does not drink regular milk and maybe just consumes most of their like dairy products through like plant-based alternatives like almond yogurt or like cashew milk or things like that, you're probably getting like almost no vitamin D. You're probably getting like literally almost no vitamin D. That being said, our body can produce vitamin D from the sun. We are like weird little plants in that way. But again, if you are someone who spends most of your day inside, or you're in a place where the sun isn't shining most of the year, there's absolutely no way in hell you are meeting your vitamin D requirements. And like I said, this is something that has been scientifically proven to be extremely like not only beneficial, but like paramount that people with EDS consume enough vitamin D. I would say at a minimum, try and get at least like, and try not to like overdo this too. You can get vitamin D detoxification, but you really have to be doing like 20 of these a day. So just don't do that, 5,000 to 10,000 international units is like a good amount to start with, And one of these, this is just the Nature Made brand. This is the brand that I use just because they have it at BJ's and it has the correct amounts for me. And as you might notice, like vitamin D is measured in IUs, which is international units. So if you are someone who has EDS, I would recommend, and this is again, a general recommendation. This is not individualized, and this is just saying a general thing. Please shoot me an email if you need more clarification. But 5,000 to 10,000 international units or IUs of vitamin D a day is a great place to start. And again, scientifically proven to be not only beneficial, but necessary for people with EDS to consume vitamin D. So if you take anything away from this besides like making sure you're fueling properly, get enough protein, get enough carbohydrates, the first thing I want you to remember is get enough vitamin D supplementation. This is one of the very few supplements that I actually recommend to a lot of different people on a regular basis. I'm not a huge fan of like needing to rely on supplements. I'd rather you get the stuff from food. But again, like you got the caveats already. This is very hard to get from food unless you're like a sardine head, which I have not met really. I don't think I've met anyone in my 11 years of being a dietitian who's like, damn, Juliana, I really love sardines. And that's how I meet my vitamin D intake. And I'm like, cool, more power to you, my friend. So vitamin D supplementation is our first thing I'm going to recommend that you take up. The second thing that we're going to talk about is something that I also pretty much recommend to all of the people that I work with in my nutrition practice. And it's something that I feel like is highly, highly, highly underrated. And it is proper hydration. Proper hydration is going to get you really far. That's why we have my water bottle over here. I have my little water bottle. This is one of those knockoff Awalas from Aldi's. I love this thing. This thing is great. Look at this. We got a Run a sticker on here. We have our Team for Kids sticker. I have my Girls on the Run sticker over here. Proper hydration. And that means a few different things, especially for people with EDS. The first thing is just going to be making sure you are consuming enough fluids per day. And I like to recommend, generally speaking, this is like a 20-ounce water bottle, I think, the 24-ounce water bottle. But I like to recommend people's water intake in Poland Spring bottles, because people understand, like, you can quantify that, you can quantify, like, okay, I can drink like 1 Poland Springs bottle. That feels like, as opposed to me being like, oh, go drink like 16 ounces of water. Like, your brain can't quantify that. It can't just like think about it. It's like, that's an abstract amount of water. But if I'm like, oh, go drink like 8 Poland Spring bottles, then you're like, oh, okay, yeah. I can picture that in my head. I can line them up in my head. Generally speaking, I like to recommend that people have the goal of consuming about 8 Poland Spring bottles worth of water per day. And you're like, Juliana, that's a lot. If you're a runner who is active and you're actively running, especially with the summer right now, especially in New England here, that's not a lot of water. You should be consuming that, and probably more than that, if you are like actively running outside in the heat. And this can also come in many different forms too. Like, obviously there is just like plain water, that's what I have in my water bottle right here. We have plain water, but there also are plenty of other options when it comes to including fluids in your day. You can also include, I like to include like sugar-free, caffeine-free beverages in this. Coffee and caffeine-filled beverages do not count towards your fluid intake. I like to tell people that 1 caffeinated beverage into your body equals 1.5 of that fluid out of your body, because caffeine is a diuretic, which means that you lose more water than you consume when you take in something that has caffeine. So we are not including caffeine in this. We are not including sugar beverages in this, just because those also like can cause some dehydration if you are over consuming them. Also, like cavities, things like that, and possibly some other health consequences. So like, for the majority of your fluids for the day, you want to be looking at things that are caffeine-free and also are sugar-free. And that could mean like things like, we're going to talk about like some like flavor packets that you add to things, because this is another part of hydration. But you could look at like caffeine-free teas. That's also an option, like seltzer waters, things like that. Those also count towards your fluid intake. And if you're going to be spicy about it, you could add in like caffeine-free, sugar-free sodas too, like if that's your flavor, So we want to be thinking about those types of things specifically when we are consuming our fluids. So 16 ounces is about the size of a Poland Spring bottle, and we are going to be consuming 8 of those a day. The reason we need to be consuming enough water is because water is made out of H2O, right? We'll put the water molecule up here on the screen. The thing that your body really, really needs from water is the H's, or the hydrogens. Hydrogen, or the little mini H's, are necessary for every single chemical reaction that happens in your body. And you, my friends, are a walking, talking chemical reaction. Everything that's happening in your body, whether you are like thinking about it, processing it, clocking it, whatever or not, you need hydrogens to like make your skin, to digest food, to have your brain think, to breathe. Like, you need these little teeny tiny H's for everything that is happening in here. And if you are not getting enough little H's, everything's going to stop working properly. This is why you can go for multiple days without food, but you can really only live for 1 or 2 days without water, because everything will start shutting down, because it is necessary for every single thing in your body, everything, to have these little H's present. So all the little teeny tiny chemical reactions can happen, so you can keep on living as a human. So like this is the first thing that anyone I work with, we touch on, and you would be flabbergasted, fucking flabbergasted, to know how many people's lives I have changed in a positive way just by like making them drink enough, or like reminding them to, or like encouraging them to drink enough water. Like the constipation that they had all of a sudden is gone. The headache that they get all the time has magically disappeared. Their joints start hurting less. When your body can work more efficiently because you are properly hydrating, you will feel like a brand new human. Okay? So, EDS humans, hypermobile humans, we need to be drinking enough water. We need to make sure that our body that's already kind of funky and kind of like overwhelmed, and we're pushing it because we're running, we got to make sure that we drink enough water. Okay? Okay. That being said, one of the things that also is paramount to people with EDS, because a lot of people who have EDS also have POTS, which is like or orthostat, I can't remember what it said, but pretty much like your blood pressure dips when you stand up. You know, you have these weird blood pressure dips. I know I spoke about this on some of my Instagram reels and my YouTube shorts sections. One of the things that is really common for people with EDS to require is higher salt intakes. If you are someone who is like trying to eat a little bit healthier and maybe just like, I don't know, just trying to lay off fast food a little bit, your salt intake is not going to be as high as you think it is. Like if you're eating a lot of processed foods, you're probably doing okay on salt intake. For me personally, I know that I need to supplement my diet with like higher salt beverages. And some people will do salt tabs. Some people will do just like higher salt foods as part of their day. But to control my blood pressure and to make sure that I am functional, I always have to prioritize like higher salt beverages. And this is like paramount when I am outside running, and especially for like longer efforts, like the flat rock that I just ran over the weekend. I have to make sure that I have like the world's saltiest water, because if I don't, then I get cramping, I get all these other issues, like I get kind of woozy, and we don't need that. We don't need that. We definitely don't need that. So what I like to do is I have some, like when I was out running at Flat Rock, like my preferred like sodium beverage mix of choice, I'll put it up on the screen, is the HYK, just their electrolyte mix, because it has like 1,000 milligrams of sodium per packet in it. And that's great. Yeah. And you can find the sodium content. If you look on the side of a box, it'll say right there what the sodium content is. And the one that I'm holding up to the screen right now is one of my favorite ones. And I got this from Aldi's. I think it's like $3 or $4 for a pack of 6 of these in here. And it's just the little packets. And here they are. Here are the little packets right here. But they're just like little drink mixes. And this one is my favorite. This is the raspberry melon flavor. This is definitely my favorite flavor. And I bought like 5 boxes of these because I like these a lot. But there's 510 milligrams of sodium in one packet. And like for me, that's like kind of the minimum that I want to be hitting when I am choosing an electrolyte beverages. Like all these ones that have less than that, like I'm not going to touch them. Like I'm not going to touch them. And like, to be honest, like during the day, I will drink like one of these usually. And like, that's good if I'm like just between running, like not when I'm out running. But like, if I'm running with this, like if I hadn't been using HYK as like my sodium beverage like choice, definitely would have picked this, and I would have doubled these. I would have put 2 of these in one bottle, because that's 1,000 milligrams of sodium. And I know that I'm a salty bitch, and I know that I need the salt. So if you are someone who has EDS, I would highly recommend that you like look at your salt intake, and also when you are fueling for your runs, include some like higher, if you feel like it's helping you, include some higher salt, like electrolyte options. And that could even mean, like I said, like doubling up on it, like putting 2 of these in one pack, in one water bottle. Like this is like your fluid and sodium intake. Like we're keeping this separate from our carbohydrate intake during the runs. But I like these because I can add these to my carb mix and it doesn't affect the carb concentration, but I can like jack up the sodium, and I can just have this during the day and I'm not like rotting my teeth out of my head. So that, and it doesn't go against our try not to drink sugary beverages and fuck up your osmolality of your GI tract thing during the day. So I would highly encourage you to look at sodium intake. And again, this is not an expensive product. This is from Aldi's. This is my favorite. I think it's like $2 or $3 for 6 of these. And yeah, so I'm not trying to sell you any specific product. As you can tell by my knockoff Awala and my beverages from Aldi's, like I do love Aldi's. It's right down the street from me. And they have a very good price on like everything. I think this bad boy was like $6 or $7. This thing is fucking great. I love this thing. It's got like a little pop top, whatever, you know. Hydrate, my friend. Ooh, I put ice in there. Ooh, forgot to put ice in there. We love it. I will just round that out. This video got a little bit longer than I thought it was going to be because Juliana went on a nutrition soapbox rant for a couple of things because I can just talk for 5 hours. Good thing I have another nutrition client in like half an hour. So I'll get to do this again in 30 minutes, my friends, to someone who's paying me. Just to recap, vitamin D, 5,000 to 10,000 IUs. If you can do that, water. Water is very important. Hydrate. You need all those H's to do all the chemical reactions in your body. Sodium. During the day and during your runs, be a salty bitch and don't be afraid of it. Okay? Right. That's what we got going on today, my friends. If you need any more help, if you would like to have some one-on-one sessions with me, if you're like, wow, I think Juliana's a great dietitian, I'd love to work with her, just send me an email. Okay? We'll figure it out. Or if you have any other questions and you need to know, like, hey, in the context of my health, what should I be doing? Reach out to me or talk to your local healthcare professional. You know, again, this was not personalized medical advice. This is my personal opinion and my personal stance as a dietitian. But again, I don't know your situation. I don't know your body. I don't know your life. So you have to make those decisions with your medical team and or reach out to me. So that way we can make that personalized decision together with the knowledge of like who you are as a human and your health conditions and the like. That being said, thank you all for joining me today on this episode of Runna. A little bit more, a little bit longer than I was anticipating, but you know, that's great. If you would like to support the channel, the best thing that you can do is subscribe because then you can come back here with me every week, twice a week. Here we are. Yay. And that's it. That's going to be the end. And yeah, I'll see you guys very soon. I love you so much. And I hope you're getting out there and you're running and you're enjoying your time out there. And yeah, that's it. Bye. Drink your water, okay? Thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode of Runna. This podcast is edited, hosted, and produced by me, Juliana Coughlin. Brought to you in part by the Falmouth Running Club and the Falmouth Community TV station. If you'd like to connect with us, you can find us on Instagram and on TikTok at runnapod. And you can send us an email at runnapod@gmail.com. And our original theme music was brought to you by the one and the only wonderful Jeffrey Hutton. And keep up the great work. I'm proud of you.